For example, if you see your parents, please punch them in the face as hard as you can and immediately run away.
Hello, my name is J-quaza, and in this video, I'll be talking about Superliminal. Now, Superliminal is, in my opinion, probably one of the best inspirational quotes to ever exist as a game. The game at first messes with your mind with its mechanics, but as you understand how the world of the game works, it gets easier and more fun to play around with the physics of the game. Each section of the game has a certain theme for its game design, and the overall message of the game is so profound, it is quite possibly the best I've ever heard in a game. Now, I'm going to take you on this journey to convince you why this game is as good as it is, and that it is indeed an underrated game. Spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about the game in whole, and if you haven't played/seen it yet, I highly recommend you do so before watching any more of this video. Everyone back? Okay, now let's start. First, we are watching a TV ad, and we hear about having feelings of self-doubt, and if we want to feel better, then we should visit the Pierce Institution and do some Semnosculpt technology dream therapy to help us feel better. And so we do, because we start in some sort of facility room. Chapter 1. Induction. First, we establish the rules of the game in this dream world. As you face this wall, you turn around, you sign this contract, and you look back, and there's a doorway now, showing you that if you look at something, it could change into something else when you're not looking. Next up, we are introduced to the main mechanic of the game, perspective. As things get further away, they're also smaller right in front of you, and vice versa. As things are getting closer to you, it's actually bigger far away. We are then thrown into our first puzzle that is also our playground. And we are also introduced to our standard orientation protocol voice that just seems to hate us.
Please note that I am the standard orientation protocol and that my voice has been explicitly chosen to remind you that I am not a part of your patient care team. I do not care.
As you continue through the puzzles, you are learning the limits and possibilities of your abilities. I didn't even mean to rhyme. And also, you're learning more rules and tricks to this game. Then, weirdly enough, we seem to break out of the standard orientation protocol / tutorial by complete accident. Then we fall into our bed. Here, we assume that we did something wrong, and it might reaffirm some of our feelings of self-doubt by, breaking the tutorial. Chapter 2. Optical. We wake up in the institution we're staying at. Or so we think. We are actually still dreaming. And we are also introduced to our voice of reasoning in the game, Dr. Glenn Pierce.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce.
And we seem to be lost in this dream world because we broke out of the tutorial. But now we use perspective to make things that are painted become real objects, and we seem to slip back into some behind the scenes areas of how this world works, and we're still lost.
My name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and I'm just popping in to give you a quick update on where you are. We still don't know.
We are then granted to elevators that should gradually wake us up, says the doctor.
But you should now have access to a series of elevators that should trigger your subconscious to gradually wake you up.
Alright, we grab the moon, and also we get a little bit of humor from him.
In the event that this elevator does not wake you up, please don't interact with anything that strikes you as psychologically significant, as we will no longer have any way of controlling it. For example, if you see your parents, please punch them in the face as hard as you can and immediately run away.
Then we walk into this elevator and we try to wake up. Chapter 3. Cubism. We are traded to the same room as before. However, we're still dreaming. We continue through and we get some more glimpses into the behind the scenes areas with some weird feeling of unease. Nothing seems to be wrong though. We are then treated to cube-like challenges and puzzles in this museum-type area with us as the focal point of the exhibits. As we understand more of this game's mechanics and physics, we hear Dr. Pierce talk about hope for us to be found. We find another elevator, and we try to wake up once again. This area is simple and short, however, there is beauty in simplicity, and it also has us be the focal point of this chapter. I mean, I guess we're the focal point of all the chapters, but this one is more museum-esque. Chapter 4, Blackout. Now we reached my favorite part of the game, the horror. Yes, horror. Just more on that in a sec. We are back in our room, same as before, but we are treated to Dr. Glenn Pierce giving us a weird speech.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and despite touring the Waterfall Serenity Zone in the previous section you've just completed, you may still be experiencing feelings of worthlessness and self-doubt. Why do I feel like everything is going wrong, even when the sun is shining?
We are walking down this big hallway, and the lights flicker and they go out. Then a red light appears at the end of the hallway. In this section, there's much less solving physical puzzles and more overcoming mental puzzles. In this section, something is here with us, because lights are going out, doors are closing behind and in front of us, and there's blood all over the floor. We also treated to a board that has murder, 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 and beans. And we're also treated to a person? Oh no, it's just a chess piece. Anyway, we get to the end and we turn on the generator and we see that the blood is actually just red paint. We continue through the elevator and we try to wake up once more. This section is so well done. You get into your own head and you assume something is there with you when it's just actually your feelings of self-doubt. But as the lights turn on, you see that everything is just normal. Chapter 5, Clone. We are once again in this room, and you guessed it, we are still dreaming because there are now 6 alarms to wake us up. Going through the door, we are treated with more hallways within this Dream World Institute. We are now introduced to cloning to solve these puzzles. Dr. Pierce is also inputting several spelling and grammar errors in an attempt to try and wake us up.
Hello, name is my Pierce Dr. Glenn. To the Somnosculpt Welcome Experience, team of your care leader patient years 10 development. Conditions struggle you whatever with? Professional invention. Edge science with cutting, a tomorrow can bright. And buts, no ifs or? Look good.
This section is short but simple, and cloning gives us another thing to think about and try to solve different puzzles. And we enter yet another elevator. Chapter 6, Dollhouse. Yet again, we're back in this room, and we enter this eerie theater. However, we continue, and Dr. Pierce says we appear to be back on track.
Pierce, this is a notification that you have reappeared on our monitoring system after a prolonged absence.
As we continue, we are greeted by a cardboard house. We now need to shrink and grow ourselves by resizing this house. We enter another creepy feeling back room with a TV that's unplugged. This experience is short though. As we continue with other puzzles of growing and shrinking, the doctor tries to inspire us.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and I'd like to read you my favorite inspirational quote by me. The worst thing you can do is focus on negativity. It won't spare you from the cage of death, the pain of disease, the cruelty of time, the cold shell of human nature, or the eventual loss of everything you've ever held dear. Whatever you do, don't focus on that.
As we go through this public pool shower area, I don't know what this is, we have to resize this bouncy house castle to exit. We are trapped in a box that we have to escape, and we are treated to the last cardboard house, and we have to go through yet another elevator. This area could symbolize how we feel in situations. We can feel small and in a box if things feel daunting, or we can feel big and free when we feel in control. Chapter 7: Labyrinth. We quote unquote wake up once more, and we continue through a series of hallways. As we hear the protocol voices tell us that something is wrong, and they start calculating other solutions.
Hypothesis: patient was improperly oriented. Conclusion: impossible. Reformulating. Improved hypothesis: patient requires additional somnasculpt therapy. Conclusion: emergency exit protocol cannot proceed. Emergency exit protocol has been emergency destroyed. Instruction: continue with somnasculpt therapy indefinitely on an independent basis, as all orientation resources have been exhausted. This concludes your standard orientation protocol. Goodbye.
They think we should reset multiple times until this room is now rotated. We reset another time, and we have to use a painting as a doorway. And Dr. Glenn Pierce now says we've finished the orientation protocol. That's strange.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce. Thank you for completing the Somnosculpt Standard Orientation Protocol.
We continue in this hallway, and our perception is rotated, both literally and figuratively. We now go through unexpected scenarios, like trying to align a block and then we fall, then trying to use stairs and we fall through the floor, then the elevator door is blocked, we turn around and there's hallways, and we enter a weird room. We use a puzzle piece and it's painted. We pick up a block and we change rooms. We pick up the next one, place it down and change rooms. We fall and change rooms yet again. Then we hit this alarm clock and change again. We navigate through elevators and we hit this alarm and it becomes painted. Then we go through the elevator and we appear to be in an empty parking lot. As we try to roam, the sky turns into walls, and once you make 4 walls, there's a room. In the middle of that room is another alarm clock, then it goes blank. This level symbolizes how lost we feel. It's like a maze, and nothing makes sense. But we persist anyway, and we solve puzzles, and continue on. Chapter 8: White Space. We wake up, but in a different room this time. Something new. It appears to be a prototype room, as the whiteboard should suggest. We make this little shop bigger and we go through it. And now we can drag this shop through this door and we create a paradox, as we're trying to enter a room, but we're also carrying the room. The standard orientation protocol voice freaks out and the whole room seems to disintegrate and we fade to white. When we are no longer blinded by the light, we see a doorway in front of us and we enter into the next room. It is a hallway and we go up invisible stairs. But we fall. And we try to go through this room, but we fall. We remove this block and we continue through the door. Then Dr. Glenn Pierce now talks to us about how he found this area we have found ourselves in, called White Space.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and many years ago, I had a dream. I found myself in a place where I understood that each of us begins as nothing, where everything I perceived was shaped by seeing it exactly the way I wanted to. white space.
We continue and walk to the door. Then we stumble into another hallway. Then we fall into this filing cabinet room, and in the shadow there's a hole and there's an exit. We follow the signs into another hallway, then into a museum. Walking out the window, we turn around. The window is a block and it helps us get up to the room. Then Dr. Glenn Pierce again keeps talking about white space.
But in white space, I also faced the greatest challenge I could imagine. Because with a lifetime of life itself behind me, and all of the weight that it carried, I realized that seeing things the way I wanted to was not as easy as it used to be.
We turn the light off, but we're actually just in another room and it's blank. Going first under the stairs, then we go up, we follow a pathway that we also fall through, and into this room that keeps looping. However, there aren't any real walls, so we go through and we find the real exit behind the doors. We enter and we find the doctor again with words of inspiration.
You're well beyond dreaming now, and further out than anyone has ever come back from. But we hope that you won't get discouraged. After all, if this is a place of pure perspective, isn't it also a place where a different point of view could make anything possible? Isn't that why you came here?
We go through the doorway and we see a checkered floor, and that we have to use these puzzle pieces to create a solid floor for us to get to the next room. And this block helps us up into the next room. Then we have to use this cheese as a ramp into the next room. We are treated to a checkered room, however, we can just keep going down and descend into another hallway, a hallway with our point of view. Then we enter into the next room and we grab a block and we fall into this alarm clock. This is signaling the end of our dream therapy. This whole section seems to be the most dreamlike in the whole game. With perspective taken away, you try to navigate and solve puzzles with outside-the-box thinking and understanding the other mechanics that we've learned along the way. Chapter 9, Retrospect. We wake up and hit the alarm clock one last time. Dr. Glenn Pierce tells us that everything has worked as intended, and we are taken through the final steps of our therapy. We hear an inspirational speech from Dr. Glenn Pierce that we faced adversity and looked at our problems from a different angle. And as we visit the whole game backwards with different rooms of different chapters from our journey, the good, the bad, and everything in between. As we approach the end, or rather the beginning, we have only one thing left to do, and that is to wake up. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. This video was a sort of passion project, but also a love letter to this game. When I played it first, I was in awe the whole time. And if you want me to talk about the secrets to this game, stay tuned for a part 2. And if you want me to review and you want me to reflect on a different game, please let me know in the comments below. And also subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notifications as to not miss another video from me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.